you must dignify and respect all trans penis. Or at least this is a ruling in the UK. So let's load this up. This is a Pink News article, my favourite outlet for nonsense.
When you say trans penis, let's just clarify this, because there are...
What's not clear?
I think there are two main variants of trans penis that you could point to, which is female to male and whatever amalgamation is created from that, and also
you mean a female that wants to be a man and so has an operation to have...
Yes, like that picture that came up where they had a skin graft from their thigh.
Rightio.
And then there is what I assume we're going to be talking about here, which is male to female non-surgery.
So a man who wants to be a woman, so does the dress, all the rest of it, blah, 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 doesn't do any of the surgery.
Yes.
And then it's not really convincing, not in the sense that they don't look like a woman, but not convincing because they then go out and become a rapist.
So, to put it in precise terms, a biological male in a dress.
Yes. So
okay.
That is, also rapist in a dress is what this is going to be referencing.
Well, I mean, J.K. Rowling would certainly push that.
Well, no, it is specifically about that issue. So you can see the article here. Police chief's J.K. Rowling tweet, not dignified or respectful to trans people. Panel rules. Oh, what did she do? In December 2021, Rowling took to Twitter to comment on reports of a Police Scotland chief saying the force would not misgender trans people accused of rape in light of new self-ID proposals. So, a man who wants to be a woman, believes he's a woman, goes out and rapes a woman, and then the police will say, well, we will say that she raped her. It was a woman who raped a woman. Even though it is obviously not, it is also legally a difficult question.
A big grey area, because as far as I'm aware, legally, women cannot rape in the traditional sense, because rape legally, I believe the definition is penetration.
There is these disputes within law as well.
Yes,
so there's
but
that.
I'm glad that we are at least such a progressive civilization that we are dignifying the feelings of rapists.
So this 1984-esque statement by Police Scotland prompted a reference 1984 from Rowling saying, she was referencing George Orwell's novel 1984, tweeting, quote, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. The penis individual who raped you is a woman." And of course, this speaks to a real issue, not a fantasy one, because we have many a case we have covered on here. The most famous one being Karen White, a person who is a danger to women, children, and animals, according to the judge, but was still put in a woman's prison where she was able to sexually assault female inmates.
Well, at least they didn't get put in the pen.
I suppose so.
We don't want them to hurt those poor animals, man.
So, this continues. Despite the tweet being met with international criticism, writes Pink News.
What a surprise.
No, it was met with applause by everyone sane and by the alphabet people very much scorned. Even Queer Eye star Jonathan Van Ness, never heard of him, said accused Rowling of spreading, quote, cherry-picked vitriol. No. This is a real problem, not just one individual. There are many an individual. This has already happened, and it was easily foreseeable and easily avoidable.
I love the way Pink News frame these things. It's like, you don't know what it is. Queer Eye is one of those shows where it's a bunch of like gay guys, and they take a straight guy and they give him a makeover, basically. And it's like, oh,
I've seen the South Park version with the crab people.
Yeah, I think that's where I know it from, to be honest. Walk like crab, tail
crab people.
But what a surprise that this person who's based their entire identity off being queer would be upset at this.
So here's the story. Tory Crime Commissioner Townsend decided to retweet it, the statement, whilst adding her own thoughts. Quote, she wrote, "It's not a niche issue. It's not hysterical for women to be taking to the streets about it. We will not accept this gaslighting from men who keep telling us they are women, or from those who enable them. Hashtag I stand with J.K. Rowling." So that's a police and crime commissioner, someone who is there working with the police every day saying, nope, this is not a fringe issue, it's not niche, this is a real issue, and we've got to solve it. You alphabet lunatics.
And interestingly enough, that's one of the big parts of the turf argument, the what you could call the traditionalist feminist position at this point, the conservative feminist position.
Caring about women's rights.
Yes, which is that the idea that these males trying to be females are in fact just males invading women's spaces.
That's how it's been seen. So, I don't know what's going on my screen there. Sorry about that. Stuff just broke for some reason. Anyway, getting back to the story here. So, in an interview with right-wing journalist Josephine Bartok, oh, how dare she, Townsend claimed that Conservative MP Crispin Blunt chair of the all-party parliamentary group on LGBT plus rights, had confronted her about the tweet in a phone call. So this is it. It's Tory on Tory violence. So there's a Tory MP.
What does Whoopi Goldberg think of this?
Man's inhumanity to man. But so there's a Tory MP who's decided to try and take down this Tory police and crime commissioner because the Tory police and crime commissioner said something sensible, and this cuckold Tory MP cannot admit to reality, apparently.
Why do we have an all-parliamentary group on LGBT plus rights?
Can you guess who?
Carrie.
No, Tony Blair.
Oh.
Later, she said, he submitted a complaint about her comments to the Surrey Police and Crime Panel. So she was going to be investigated by the police for daring to say, yeah, this is an issue that the police should deal with. How dare you?
Wow.
According to the Daily Mail, Blunt said in his complaint that her messaging propagates dangerous myths about reality. Dangerous myths about reality. Okay. On Tuesday, 8th of March, the Surrey PCP's Complaints Subcommittee published its findings, ruling that her tweet was not dignified or respectful. She was not...
F's in the chat.
She was not dignified or respectful to a rapist who claims he's a woman after he raped someone with his trans penis.
You seem to be struggling to understand this, Callum.
It's so simple. Just get with the times, Bigot.
Yeah, man. Don't you understand? It's the current year.
But also the dignity and respect. Why do we not show the dignity and respect that trans people deserve in this society? Like the aristocrats. Like they're something that cannot be insulted. They are above all of us, you know.
Well, I mean, if the queer lobby, the alphabet lobby, were to be believed, I think that they would make a strong argument that they are above us.
Yeah.
Specifically because we have kept them below our boots for so long.
Let's get the next one to see a trans aristocrat. Have we have there from the 1700s? There's a cartoon from the time. I don't know what you call it.
What? I've not seen this before.
Hail.
That looks like a Dark Souls boss.
Hail, thou production most uncommon. Woman half man and half woman man. Just like, okay.
Oh,
So,
all right, bro. Okay.
whatever. But this is the thing as well, of course, and I said this a million times, but we'll say it again for posterity's sake, if nothing else, which is that you have the alphabet lobby who are obsessed with these kind of things, well, unreality being taken seriously. And then you have gay people and trans people and whatnot who it's, I'm a person, I'm an accountant or whatever, and also I'm gay. Not, I'm queer, and that's it. That's their lives. That's the difference here. If we go back to the article, we can see more of this. Despite the subcommittee's ruling, Townsend refuses to accept that there was anything wrong with her comments. Based. Good on you, girl. Don't back down.
Good on you.
Insisting, this issue has really brought home to me just how many men feel threatened by women with opinions. Love it. I love it.
I love that she doesn't back down. She doesn't change her framing. Whenever she's referring to trans women, she's just like men.
But also
constantly
the doubling down on the feminist narrative. Feminists, I'm not going to forget for all of the wrongs they have done in
There
the
is
past.
a strong argument to be made that the feminists sort of opened the way up for this nonsense.
Well, but also the clash they had with the men's rights activists, I'm not going to forget, because that was the wrong thing to do. But also, just I love that she's like, yeah, this male MP telling me I'm in the wrong and I shouldn't have an opinion on women's issues. Oh, really? That's not very feminist of you. And he's a cuckold Tory MP, so he should be
What's he gonna
respecting
do?
feminism. Should he not?
And where does feminism stack up on the progressive stack? Is it feminists then trans, or trans then feminists?
Yeah, well, that's the
I guess
debate.
we're finding this out.
I think women are definitely down on the pile these days. Last year, Surrey Police and Crime Commissioner Lisa Townsend accused the LGBT plus rights charity Stonewall of pushing a dangerous ideology that threatens the safety of our women and girls. Look, Pink News, I already like her. Stop.
Yeah, this was pretty based.
She was already lovely, and then you went off with that as well. Did you know she's also fantastic? Okay.
She hates Stonewall too. OMG, she just like me, RL.
Gonna put the love hearts in the chat in a minute. Townsend also demanded that Surrey Police leave the Stonewall Diversity Champions program, insisting the charity risks putting feminism back 50 years. Again, stop. Like, I already like her. She wants to defund Stonewall, not just get rid of them. That's also lovely. And then they end this off with, at the time, Townsend again clashed with MP Kristen Blunt, who the day before her Stonewall comments hit out at the British media for driving a moral panic over trans kids. If you wanted to know how much of a cuckold this MP really is.
Okay, point to the moral panic, and I will point you to all of the examples driving the moral panic.
Well, that's an interesting phrase, isn't it? There's a moral panic about an event.
It doesn't.
Well,
it's obviously it's trotted out in a way that will imply that it's an illegitimate moral panic.
But if there are real things going on, immoral things going on, that the public then have a moral panic about the immoral things,
Yes.
That's perfectly reasonable and actually good.
I mean, for the
That's
love
what we
of
should be
God,
doing.
there's a clinic in Florida that performs surgery for this kind of surgery on 13-year-olds.
Yes.
I think parents have a right to point at that and go, don't want that.
Not to mention all the other stuff that's gone on in the UK. We covered Detransition Day yesterday as well. If you want to go and find out some of the horror stories, or at least people who have been misled in their own words, go and check that out. But otherwise, we will go back into the cuckold MP, because he's the MP for Reigate. So anyone from Reigate, let us know how much of a useless man he is as well. If you go to the next link, please, John, you can see them saying here, after a bitter internal Tory row over the government's long-awaited response to the Gender Recognition Act, Crispin Blunt has vowed to carry on what he sees as a vital battle for trans rights. Of course he does. He clashed here with Liz Truss, because Liz Truss dared to be sensible. You may remember.
Adult human female, I believe.
The clash escalated to the point where it was widely reported that Blunt had called for Truss to be sacked from the equalities part of her brief, though he later issued a somewhat unconvincing clarification. He said he wanted this part of her job, she is also International Trade Secretary, to be given to someone else. Well, no, that's the same thing, which is him saying that he can't help or he can't stand that someone sensible is in charge of these matters and not someone like him who doesn't understand the issue. I mean, just by his own statements, like, if you do, mate, if you're going to say that you do, define a woman for us all, and let's see if it's not a circular argument. Let's see. See you try it.
I love the sputtering whenever they start that. The complete silence followed by
a woman is a woman if they identify as a woman.
Whatever,
right?
Whoever describes themselves as a woman. But
Trans women are women because trans women are women because trans women are women.
The Chad Matt Walsh. Yes, but what is that?
Actually define it. If we go to the next one, we can also see a bit of Lisa here. So Lisa has become my new favourite person in British politics. And if you scroll down, you can see her election in 2021. Absolutely smashed it. Absolutely smashed the Lib Dem there. Good job. I don't know about the local area or what else she's done, but you can see democratic mandate to do what she's doing. For people who don't know, police and crime commissioners in this country are elected. Don't really understand the arguments around that, but that's for another time. If we go to the next one, we can also see that Lisa does not give an F about all of this. And she was invited by Andrew Doyle to go on his show on GB News and just talk about this. And she was very frank. So let's play it.
J.K. Rowling had tweeted following a case in Scotland around women with penises committing rape. And I retweeted it and I added a comment to it saying, essentially, I think my frustration came out quite clearly, saying that, women wouldn't put up with this anymore. We would not be gaslighted by these men who had no intention, actually, most of them living as women at all, but suddenly wished to declare themselves as women once they'd committed rape. So I retweeted that. As you said, there were three men who made a complaint, one of whom was a local MP in Surrey, where I'm PCC, and the panel came out with their decision, sent me their decision on Tuesday of this week, which of course happened to also be International Women's Day.
I mean, that's the cherry on top, isn't it?
Yep.
It's like, on International Women's Day, we have discovered that women are not women. That's the position of the police.
Feminists BTFO'd.
Yes. Get out of here. How dare you say that women are women? That's the position that the police took against Lisa, the police and crime commissioner, as well. Amazing. So, J.K. Rowling is also now, of course, Romlin Tomlinson levels of heresy, at least to the progressive left, the identitarian left.
People haven't tried kicking her out of the country yet. So.
I think they'll go for it. I don't think there's anything that will stop them.
Well, to be fair, I say that they've tried to deplatform her and unperson her from her own stories.
Yeah. So I thought we'd enjoy some hoes who are mad. So I'll start with one hoe. So as you can see here, pronouns in the bio all the time. Wonder about that.
Not even bio, in the handle.
What do they decide right here? If you enjoy the Wizard books, you're a transphobic, racist, homophobic, anti-Semite piece of S. You've run out of chances to try and defend yourself, you're a right-wing C-word, and you support other right-wing C-words. And I love, as you can see there, just 794 quote tweets.
Yeah. The quote tweets, prove I'm right! If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
Yeah, she goes on.
I mean, this does not seem like a particularly reasonable person.
But this is entirely normal for the identitarian left.
Well,
this is where they have arrived and will arrive the rest of them within, I don't know, the afternoon.
This is where the nutty echo chambers lead, where it's like, well, if you disagree with me, then you're just a homophobe and an awful human being. You should probably just die.
Yeah, but this isn't the fringe. Like, this is box standard leftist rhetoric.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when is there not an election where they just go, yeah, my opponent is either racist, Islamophobic, homophobic?
Well, it's a lot easier than providing an argument, isn't it?
It's so box standard, it means nothing. It's the white noise of sitting in a room full of socialists. You just hear this in the
Oh
background.
God, don't describe that, please. I'll be just having nightmares.
I'm going to go to Labour Party conference next time live.
You know what, actually, I might have to come with you.
Yeah, so the quote tweets prove that I'm right. Sure, they do love him. Who cares? The supporters of those garbage books and the garbage human who wrote them are right-wing bootlickers who think some children's books are more important than human lives. No, we think that the human lives are the most important thing. Therefore, we shouldn't mislead people into destroying their own children or other people's children.
Also, it does just have to be pointed out every single time. J.K. Rowling is not right-wing. She has never been right-wing. Up until 2020, when all this happened, she was very far left-wing.
Right-wing according to who?
Well,
according to the far left, of course she's right to that.
According to the far leftists.
She's a reactionary.
Well, yeah. She's
counter-revolutionary even.
She's reacting to gender ideology, therefore reactionary equal right-wing. But to anybody living in the real world, she's still pretty much a leftist.
Yeah. So she ends this off with, they keep coming, guess everyone who's quoted these tweets thinks slaves who enjoyed being enslaved? I have no idea what the hell that's a reference to.
I do. Would you like the context?
Sure, trans people slaves now.
In The Goblet of Fire, there is the subplot with Hermione trying to free all of the house elves who are basically slaves after having met Dobby, who has been freed after the Chamber of Secrets. So you'll remember this. This is a plot they left out of the film of Goblet of Fire for understandable reasons, which is when she goes down into the kitchens and sees all of these slaves and is like, you guys need to rise up, basically comes out there with Lenin, like, workers' rights, we need to rise up against the bourgeois. All of the elves go, but we love being slaves. It's what we're raised to do. It's fantastic. It's such an easy life. And they just get her to go away. And Hermione, like, I think even Ron's like, well, that sure showed you, Hermione. See, they just love it. They just really love those boots on their necks.
Well, okay, so they're the ood.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Within the context of the universe, it's like fair play. Obviously, it's not something that would hold up in the real world, but we're talking about a fantasy universe.
Yes, of course. All right, that's hilarious.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
No, and I'll keep that in mind for the Harry Potter book reviews that we do at some point.
Oh, I've got all of... I'd happily do a read-through of them again.
Yeah, so if we go to the next one, we can also see Emma Watson, or is it Hermione there, who was very upset about her proletarian moment, also decided to come out and say that she stands with all the witches in some award ceremony of rich people who all earn God knows how much and are so disconnected from reality, who cares? But this was her, or it was interpreted as her saying she stands with the trans feminists, not the feminists, of course. And I saw someone pointing out here, when your I'm not defined by J.K. Rowling moment is still defined by J.K. Rowling. Yes, I mean, wow.
Emma, no one would know who you are if it weren't for J.K. Rowling, and you always have to live with that.
Let's go to the next one, because there's some images from her at the gala here, some people saying that they took some images there. We're not allowed to say anything about these. We'll leave these to the female commenters and move on completely, because otherwise there's misogyny. So, let's go to the next one, in which I wanted to talk about the definition of a witch, because she says she stands with all witches. Well, here's a definition, at least according to harrypotter.fandom. Some people not involved.
Emma Watson doesn't know the law.
An individual male human with magical ability was known as a wizard, plural, wizards. And an individual female human with magical ability was known as a witch, plural, witches. Although wizard was sometimes used as gender-neutral, singular noun like man.
So not a woman.
Well, no, it is a sex definition.
But a female.
You have to be
human.
a female.
Okay, very interesting.
Trans women can't be witches, at least according to harrypotter.fandom.
Very interesting. Yeah, Hermione. Well, have you looked at this wiki page?
Yeah, well, I'm not wrong, though, am I?
No, you're not.
If the law literally states that you have to be a female to be a witch, then, well, that's the law. Yeah. Again, not really my huge franchise. Did enjoy it growing up, but there we are. There's the law for a lady who apparently hasn't read her own series' law. Let's move on to the last one here, which is just the TERF response to all this as well, which is making TERF art about J.K. Rowling as becoming some kind of, I don't know, presumably saint for the movement. To
be fair, I see every so often I stand with J.K. Rowling just crops up as trending on Twitter, because every so often the TERFs just come back out with it again. Fair play.
And if we can click on this just to get up the image there of what was written, which is, of course, TERF rhetoric saying feminazi, TERF, B-word, witch, times change, women hate is eternal. Well, that's the feminist perspective of all of this, but there we are. That's that. I also wanted to just talk about the fact that Townsend, Lisa over there, keep it up. That was a great work.
Yeah.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this Epoch series, and this one in particular being on the life of Napoleon, that Carl and Bo have done together on the early life of Napoleon. And if you want to follow Carl and see what else he's putting out, you can follow him at Getter at @CarlBenjamin on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.